Supply chain visibility these days is everywhere. You know, if you look in the newspapers, read professional magazines, supply chain visibility, you should go into it. You need to invest in this, but why? Yeah, you better understand yourself also why to do so. Now, what we see these days is that the customers who really want to stay with you and want to buy from you expect that you provide to them ultimate customer experience. Yeah? It's about anything, anytime, any place, anyhow, the Amazon effect. Not just in the consumer market, but it's expected by the same guy in the hammock who is the surgeon next day or the plant manager. You would like to have the same experience in the job. No bureaucratic procedures around big ERP systems and long lead times. No, what you order is what you get. And that's kind of an unreasonable challenge for many companies. But you need to go there. You need to provide the best service to also grow your revenues, to retain customers, to win customers, to grow your business. At the same time, also obviously, from an operational point of view, you need to maintain your operational excellence or grow to levels of operational excellence. Lowest cost, reliable service to remain profitable. If you always go after the customers without any consideration on cost, in the end you won't make a long run, you know, it will be a loss-making exercise. Now, these things need to be combined. The customer experience, top, as well as the lowest cost. And that's not an easy thing. Many companies are not there yet. Whatever you read, you're not alone. Many companies are missing the boat, like 80-90%, it depends on what research you pick. They haven't yet supply chain visibility in place. That also does cost millions, and it depends upon your size and the sensitivity, but it's an easy business case. You lose millions if you don't have your supply chain, let's say, entirely visible. We developed a nice checklist with media. It's on the right. It's too small to read, I believe, but you can go there and check out whether or not you are mature with respect to supply chain visibility. If you really dive into this a bit deeper, you will see that it's not a walk in the park. It does require quite some things to be organized for, to consider yourself like mature in supply chain visibility. Then, why supply chain visibility? The reasons I told you about, but why now? Supply chain visibility is hot. Yeah? It's here and now. There are world leaders talking about this. Even Biden is on CNN talking supply chain. Who could ever have imagined that our profession, supply chain and supply chain visibility, was like on the agenda of the world leaders? It is because there are serious macroeconomic and geopolitical effects related to this. Yeah? Then also World Economic Forum, the business leaders are talking about this. Supply chain disruptions are key. They're impacting our economies, impacting our societies. And then also we, as let's say what I call here human mankind, is being impacted from supply chain visibility and the recent, let's say, sad events happening to us. You can think of, let's say, ordering your car now. Delivery will take, let's say, half a year or a year or so. I heard today in the radio news that there are even concerns about grain and food supply for many countries to come. So we have definitely enormous challenge when it comes to supply chain and supply chain visibility. Let's move into visibility. Actually, what is visibility? Yeah? I would like to go back to the basics. And these days we see a lot about, let's say, hot items about what I call transportation visibility. So transportation visibility is about knowing where your physical goods travel typically over the road, yeah? GPS coordinates and what conditions they are. Really nice, a good start. But it's by far not yet supply chain visibility. With such a start, you can grow to a next level, which we call logistics visibility. It's getting better. It's not supply chain visibility yet, but it does include more. It is about the single leg trucking from A to B, but it also includes visibility around your warehouse processes, around the port handling, about the final mile, maybe e-store operations, what's happening at your suppliers in the inbound supply chain, what's happening on cross-docks. All the logistics steps will be included to achieve the level of supply chain visibility. Then, to really get into the game, you need to grow to the level of supply chain visibility. Beyond the single leg transportation and the multi-leg or multi-process logistics processes I just tried to explain, this is also about having visibility on demand, on supply, on inventory levels. Not just now, but also having the forecast and the planning on your inventory, not just for now, but also how it needs to be replenished over time and what it will mean for your suppliers to share purchase orders and purchase order forecast. Even if you have achieved this, this is not the end. Yeah? then you have reached the level of supply chain visibility, which will be like a foundational level to grow to the level of what we call supply chain control. And with supply chain control, we mean like, it's not just looking in the rear mirror and see what has happened, which is great, because you can use that information, but you also should use that information to stipulate your supply chain upfront. So how do you actually want to drive your supply chain from a planning and optimization perspective? How should an order be fulfilled? What steps are you going to take? What are the milestones to be achieved? Who needs to do that? At what cost will it be executed? What do you expect from it? Yeah? What information can you communicate about this to all the stakeholders? Now, once you have such what we call micro supply chain defined and planned, you can start getting the visibility information in and compare it against the expected milestones, the planned supply chain, and learn from the deviations. If you have that in place, you can also get to the level of, let's say, what I've called here control tower platform, because then from all those transactions, you get either confirmative information that things are running as you expected them to run, or you will measure all kinds of deviations, and you can really pinpoint why they occurred, how they occurred, when they occurred. And from that point of view, basically, you can create insights in the overall aggregate performance in different levels. So how do you do per country, per business unit, per market segment, yeah? Per carrier maybe, per logistics service provider, per plant, you name it. You can slice and dice and go wild when it comes to such a control tower platform. Using, let's say, business rules, you will plan up front, you will learn from it to the control tower functionality, but also in the end you would like to get your machine learning done, so you want to get the algorithm smarter. So initial algorithms you put in, but then as a human being you can learn from the results and try to optimize the settings, basically, the parameters, the optimization. But sometimes the things happening in the world are pretty complex. And machine learning is really good to try to find and detect patterns which, as a human brain, basically, or even with a group of scientists, are hard to find. So you let the machine search for ways to further optimize. You create feedback loops. And those feedback loops can be related to your hard transactional data. Think about your order fulfillment data, your OTIF, your transportation, your logistics costs, your supply demand, all the things which relate to the hard supply chain domain. But these days we are also seeing and also investing a lot in research to connect other non-supply chain data. Think about weather information, or how do the stock exchanges do? What's the economic temperature in different parts of the world, or what is the risk factor happening per country? And those, let's say, new factors can also take into the equation of the supply chain control. Then that will lead again to execution, which then provides more data on visibility. And the visibility, obviously, you will right away use the visibility for benefit of informing your customers, informing your stakeholders, but you'll also use this to plan and execute better the next time. Yeah? Now, that's a fascinating world. It's also kind of mind-boggling. So how to make the first step in that giant journey? If you, let's say, put the dot on the horizon, then this is maybe how the next generation might think of supply chain visibility and control. How difficult can it be? It's like a 3D glasses, where you basically see your entire supply chain in a kind of 3D landscape, and you think of it how it shows now. And you have a game controller, and you say, this is how I want to be it. Just shape it like a game. Yeah? That's how the new generation will think of supply chain visibility and control, to really drive it as a kind of steering wheel or as a game controller. Now, that's not an easy thing to achieve right away. But that shouldn't withhold you to start with something simple. We call it like the 5S approach: start, soon, simple, small steps. So define something which is achievable, which is currently in your responsibility world, which is happening in your world. Box it and make it so small, but also so worthwhile, so valuable, that it can be achieved in 3 months' time, and also will, let's say, open the eyes of the others around you. Yeah? And once you succeed in that, you define the next iteration of the next quarter. Now, obviously, to do so, you need to have, let's say, the vision that this is worthwhile, and I hope you get some inspiration from this. You need to have the organization who stands behind you, kind of commitment of your colleagues, your peers, your workers, your management. And also, let me also, let's say, talk shop a bit here. You need to have a kind of digitization platform to get things done. Yeah? We as MPO are a software provider, a cloud provider with a platform for multi-party orchestration, as we call it, which does enable the supply chain visibility, so collecting all the data from the field to create transparency across that micro supply chain, but also then to use that information to drive the supply chain. And from the supply chain visibility and control, you can grow into multiple applications. You can think of distributed order management or e-commerce fulfillment or global transportation management or spare parts management with swap operations or networked inventory management to measure the inventory beyond your ERP system. All those things basically can be enabled through a single platform like MPO's platform. Coming back to the theme of today, why prioritize supply chain visibility? Because somehow it's a necessity. You know, if you don't step in now, you will never achieve the level of the anything, anyplace, anytime, anyhow. And others will do. So it's like a rat race. With the global economy, others can easily come into your market. You, at the same time, if you are progressive and step forward, can also grow your business by extending your proposition with that, let's say, super service or customer wow experience. And what I'm talking here is not just theory. Others are doing it, and it's doable, and it's always nice to partner with people who are engaged and try to put the theory into practice and to live up the vision. Yeah. With that, I would like to conclude for today, and I'm open for any questions or remarks.